Thank you very much, Quickshot. I'm Sjokz, the portrait here with MYM's MrRallez and brand new Copenhagen Wolf Freeze. And I'm also very pleased to be joined by our special guest, Mitch Krepo Voorspoels. Hi, Mitch. How are you doing?
It's good to be back, Sjokz.
It is fantastic to have you back as well. Now let's turn to the rest of the desk as we have two familiar faces with us, MrRallez and Freeze. Of course, MrRallez, I have to start by asking you about the news we heard yesterday that Corey is being replaced by Blizzard. Tell us what the situation in the team is right now.
Yeah, well, currently we are trying out Blizzard, and we'll see how it goes. We don't really know too much about him. We just know that our support Nisbet is duking with him a lot, and he says he's really, really good. So yeah, right now we're just trying it out.
So is this a Danish force trying to take over the team here?
Yeah.
It's a takeover. Tell me more about the dynamics coming into the first game of the split, knowing that you already made those vital changes in both the jungler and your new support Nisbet. How's that been going communication-wise?
Well, Nisbet had a lot to learn, and he's working really, really hard, and we can see that in scrims, and his vision control is getting a lot better, but we still need to work a lot more on laning phase. And Horror is playing really, really good. He's really aggressive, and he always gets a lot of early kills, and we'll probably see a Horror in the enemy jungle all the time.
All right, that'll be fantastic to see. Freeze, welcome back, man.
Thanks. It feels nice to be back after the year.
Yeah, that's most certainly will. Tell me about the pressure on your shoulders. You are the only roster change that the Copenhagen Wolves made coming into this season.
Obviously, I feel a bit pressured. I look at the AD carries they had before me. Reckless, Forgiven, Woolite. There were all the good AD carries, and I have to step up my game. I have to fill in the spots that have been ripped out of the team, and I have to play my best.
What have you guys been practicing on in the off-season? Because obviously last season, Copenhagen Wolves ended up at the bottom of the table. They only made one roster swap, the Magnificent Freeze. But is it going to be enough? And what areas have you guys been looking to improve on?
We are trying to improve on every aspect of the game. Basically, we try to, first of all, the laning phase, then avoiding ganks. We had a big problem with that, but hopefully we fixed that now. And then overall snowballing the game, which we didn't, or the team before, didn't really have much experience with snowballing the games as we could have seen the last season.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that for you guys it is a work in progress this first week?
Yeah, indeed. We're looking to improve all the split first, and we take it as experience. We want to learn. We're not aiming high. We're aiming top 5 for the split, but we're trying to improve, and then maybe be top 3 in the next split.
All right, being careful, I understand that. Now, you mentioned it already. There were a lot of good AD carries in Copenhagen Wolves, and there's just a lot of AD carry talent in Europe right now. We're always talking about the mid laners, but it is impressive. How are you guys feeling, maybe, MrRallez, knowing that it is very, very AD carry heavy in the ULCS?
Well, it's good that we have a lot more enemies, and all our matches is very hard. And it's not just a rollover in the laning phase where we can just chill back and just farm and win the game by that. And now it's actually really hard because a lot of these AD carries is really, really good and a lot more aggressive, Forgiven, for example. And the last bit was pretty boring in laning phase because no one really did anything. But now we have to play against Forgiven, and Woolite is getting a lot more aggressive with Vanda, and it's going to be exciting.
Who's the toughest lane to beat, in your mind?
Well, I haven't played against SK yet, so it's hard to say. Might
be a contender.
Yeah. But yeah, it's probably going to be Forgiven and renovated.
Freeze, you agree?
I agree. Rocket bot lane is really good, and SK bot lane is really good, especially because they play aggressive, and it's the new addition to this league. When before it was all over the passive play style, everyone was trying to not do mistake and then go into the late game. But right now, I feel like there's an aggression going on.
Well, we are very happy about that. And that brings us to our question of the day for the players at home. Hop on Twitter and tell us, what recent change to the game do you think will have the biggest impact on the LCS this split, and why? What do you guys think? Krepo?
I just really like the way Baron and Dragon have been changed to the way the Dragon buffs work right now. They put a timer on the game. 5th Dragon buff is really important. I like what Baron brings in terms of sieging. So now when I cannot be useless as a support in mid-game. I can just walk to that lane, buff those creeps, and become my own split pusher. And especially the Scuttle Crabs, I really like them in terms of vision control, playing around them. I haven't scrimmed at all, but I can imagine at one point you have this war start over who gets the Scuttle Crab and then in turn gets the objective. Freeze?
I actually love the Scuttle Crab as well. It's the first thing that's not trying to kill me in the game. So, and it gives more gold now as well. So I'm enjoying chasing finally something and not getting chased on.
MrRallez?
I really like the Drake as well, because now you can't just big late game comes and just let the enemy team get everything, and you just sit back behind your turret and just stall the game. Because when you get 5 drakes, it's pretty hard to defend, and when you get the Baron as well, it's just impossible.
What do you think of the addition of the gates right now in terms of like breaking sieges or breaking when people are sieging on you? You have these little gates in your base here, so you can leave sooner. Have they had a big impact in scrims in the very few matches that you've played?
Or have you only been winning?
I wouldn't say they had a big impact. We didn't get used to it yet, but I can see that if there's some engage from a jungler, for example, if he just sneaks through the gate and goes from behind, then you can turn around the disadvantage you had before. So I really like it.
All right, well, you've heard their thoughts, but we want to hear yours, so remember to tweet your answers at LOL Esports and use that hashtag LCS. And in celebration of the start of the season, if your tweets are seen on the broadcast, you will win a skin code to unlock the new Challenger Ahri skin, which is available in the client now for a limited time. And I'm certainly going to be playing with that skin if I play Ahri. Now we'll turn our focus to the first match of the day, Elements versus Fnatic. I'd like to focus on Fnatic here because they've had a complete roster overhaul. The only returning member for that lineup is Yellowstar. Yellowstar is one of the 6 players to play every LCS game in every season. How important will that be, his experience in this new lineup?
I think Bora is one of the most experienced player in the European scene right now. As far as I know, he went to Worlds every time as well. He's basically, if you got to choose one guy that you want to make the rock and build a team around, he's the guy to pick. And he even role swapped from AD carry to support. And I think both guys can agree here that he's just a really, really solid support. In my opinion, he was the best support from Europe at Worlds. So I'm definitely looking forward to how we can mold this new team. I haven't played against them, so initial impressions of the new Fnatic roster?
Well, I think Yellowstar is the best support by far. Last year, he was, in my opinion, carrying Fnatic, and we have been scrimming Fnatic here as well, and they are looking just as strong as last year because of Yellowstar. He gives so much pressure, and his vision control is just insane. So I think Fnatic is still really good.
Freeze, what do you think?
I agree. I think it's a really good support, but overall, the new Fnatic, they look strong as well all the time. They play different than they played last season because of the new addition of the players, mainly the top and jungle. So I'm really looking forward to what they will bring to the Europe with their play style.
So you're mentioning top and jungle and bottom. We seem to be forgetting Febiven, which also was a major acquisition for that team. He actually did fantastic in the expansion tournament, the highest KDA with 13.57. You guys don't mention it. Is it because the rest is so strong as is, Freeze?
I just think I played versus Febiven so much that I already know that he's a solid player. He's really good. Like if he performs, he's one of the best top mid laners in the Europe right now. And so I expect him to play well, and then I was focusing on the others because they're new.
All right, Krepo.
Yeah, I just think that stat of the expansion tournament kind of doesn't matter all too much because, yeah, Febiven performed there, and then a lot of people said, but yeah, he performed against weak teams. But from playing against Febiven, if he, like Free says, keeps his cool and stay focused, he is such a good mid laner. The things he does sometimes in solo queue, just showing his mechanical prowess, I just really want to see him bring it to the stage, stay calm. Maybe not the first week, maybe not the second week. We'll give him some time, but by week 3 and 4, I want to see Febiven on fire.
So basically, tons of praise from you guys from the new Fnatic lineup. In their first game, they are up against the European champions Elements, who have now also have Reckless in their ranks. You have a lot of praise for Fnatic, but do you think they can take it from Elements, MrRallez, in this first game?
It's hard to say. We scrimmed Elements a little bit, and their early game was pretty weak, but their mid and late game was just insane. Their wave control is the best by far, and their vision control is really good, and they have a few other picks that other teams doesn't play. So I'm not sure. I think Elements is going to win, but it comes up to if they can handle early game.
Freeze?
I would say Alliance has actually worst chance to win the game because, as I said, Fnatic play completely different than every other team we scrimmed, and they might get caught off guard from it. And if they don't handle the early game, as MrRallez said, they have the peak early game, then they will lose.
Krepo?
I think communication will be a little easier in Elements than it will do in Fnatic because you can scrim and have that language barrier, but once you get to the stage and you know the crowd's shouting, those new microphones, new setup, it's going to get a little different. Plus, Fnatic hasn't played together too much. Alliance, or Elements now, I keep making the same mistake as well, have played together before. They have Reckless. He's used to just fit into that team. I think Elements has the edge here, but Fnatic can surprise if what Free says is true and they curveball them so hard that they might just take the game.
Well, it'll be a very interesting matchup indeed. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Before we check back in with QuickShot and the Fish Show to get this one started, the European Super Team got a little more super over the offseason. Let's take a closer look at the new Elements now featuring Reckless.